people learn in different ways. What you need to do at this very early stage in your life is make sure you understand what works for you, and then manipulate your learning schedule in a way that you can take advantage of what works for you, and you will go so much further, so much faster. Also, when it comes to choosing a career, make sure that you choose something that you're going to be good in. You know, if you're a very, very slow runner, don't choose something that requires a fast runner. If you have very, very poor eyesight, don't choose something that requires something with good eyesight. Use common sense. And a lot of people don't do that. They do what their friends are doing. They do what their mom and their dad were doing, and they don't use common sense. Lastly, you know, I inculcated all this into who I was, and I just zoomed. By the time I was 33 years old, I was chief of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University. And people would come from great distances to see Dr. Ben Carson, chief of pediatric neurosurgery. And I would walk in the room, and they would say, "When is Dr. Carson coming?" Because they were expecting to see somebody else. And I would say, "Well, I'm Dr. Carson." And some people would be really amazed. But you know, nobody ever walked out. Because once I began to talk to them, explain to them what the problem was and what the solution was, it was obvious to them that I knew what I was talking about. And it didn't matter that I looked very young. It didn't matter that I was black. What mattered to them is this somebody who can solve our problem? That is important. So what you want to think about as you pursue your career, you want to just not be able to get by. You want to be somebody who is extraordinary at what you do. And it really will depend on how much energy and how much effort you decide to put into it. Think big. Each one of those letters means something special. The T is for talent, which God gave to every single person, not just the ability to sing and dance and throw a ball, but intellectual talent. That's the most important thing. Nothing wrong with sports and entertainment, don't get me wrong. I was delighted to see the Ravens win the game last night. But that's not the most important thing, okay? The H is for honesty. Lead a clean and honest life. That way you don't put skeletons in the closet. You put them there, they will always come back to haunt you just when you don't want to see them. If you always tell the truth, you don't have to try to remember what you said 3 months ago. The I is for insight, which comes from listening to people who've already gone where you're trying to go. You may think they're old and fogey, but let me tell you something. They have a lot of wisdom because they've been there. Learn from their mistakes. Learn from their triumphs. That's what distinguishes a wise person from a fool. The N is for nice. Be nice to people. Because once they get over their suspicion of why you're being nice, they'll be nice to you. And you can get so much more done when you're being nice and they're being nice. Just learn how to be courteous. Learn to think about how you would like to be treated. What a difference it makes. The K is for knowledge, which is the thing that makes you into a more valuable person. Do I have a big house? Yes. Do I have a lot of cars? Yes. Do I have a lot of things that Robin Leach of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous thinks are important? Yes. Are they important? No. And if they all disappeared tomorrow, I really don't care. You know why? Because I get them all right back almost immediately with what's up here. And that's what Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, meant when he said, gold and silver and rubies are nice, but be treasured far above those things, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Because with those, you can get all the gold and silver and rubies you want. But more importantly, you come to realize that those things don't amount to a hill of beans. And that the most important thing is developing your God-given talent so you to become valuable to the people around you. The B is for books, which is the mechanism for gaining that knowledge. You know, some people say, I don't need to read. I can learn everything I need to learn by watching DVDs and videos. That's like saying you can develop your muscles by watching somebody else lift weights. It doesn't work that way. You got to work with your mind if you want your mind to work with you. The second I is for in-depth learning. learning for the sake of knowledge and understanding, as opposed to superficial learning. Superficial learners are people who just study real hard before a test. Sometimes they do okay, and 3 weeks later they don't know a thing. That is no good. And the last letter, G, is for God. You know, we live in a society that is trying to push God out. And when you try to push God out, something else has to substitute. And that thing is generally not something good. And we need to learn that it's okay to live by godly principles of loving your fellow man, of caring about your neighbor, of developing your God-given talents to the utmost so that you become valuable to the people around you, of having values and principles that govern your life. And if you do that, not only will your life be better, but you will make the lives of all the people around you better. You will realize the potential that God has given you, and the world will be the beneficiary.